The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to my webinar today. I hope that you are all doing well. I'm just going to wait just a couple more minutes because I have quite a few people on, but just a few more who registered. My name is Lena, and I will be hosting the webinar today. And we're just going to be going over some features of the iSolved system and a few ways that you can actually communicate with your employees en masse. So, just gonna move this. Just give it one more minute. Maybe a couple more people are gonna show up. All right, perfect. I got a couple more. All right, great. Like I said, my name is Lena, and I'm hosting this webinar today on the iSolved system and a few features that the system includes. That includes mass email, employee messages, and email templates. So I hope you're all doing well and you're ready to learn. So this page might look familiar to you all. It's just the employee listing. It's basically one of the first pages that I go to when I open up my company in iSolved. And we're going to start with a look at mass emails. So I'm going to do my very best to use this left-hand toolbar to navigate to the different sections that I need in iSolved. And I will be taking questions at the end, so if you have a question, feel free to chat it to me. And in case there's a question that I don't have time to answer today, I will do my best to follow up by email. So mass email, we're going to go to Client Management, and just here to this mass email utility. All right, and the mass email utility is designed to send an email that you compose to any of your employees who have an email address in the system. You can send a mass email to all employees, or you can narrow down your mass email to groups of employees. So we're just going to walk through this page together on how to set up a mass email and then how to send it out. So the very first thing that it says is that this email will be sent to you from your payroll service provider's from address by default. So this is our default address, but if you would like to, you can override the from email address by using this checkbox and then clicking in whatever name that you want, followed by your company's email domain name. That means that you can't use Yahoo or Gmail, but you would have to use your @company domain name. So that is certainly an option if you want to override the from email address. The second group of boxes is where you can actually compose the subject, attach a document, and to compose the body of the email. Or you can select an email template from the dropdown. So in a few minutes, we're going to walk through how to set up email templates. But right now, we're just going to build a one-off mass email. And for the purposes of this demo today, I am going to use an example. We're going to send out an invitation to a company bowling party. So our subject's going to be "You're invited." And the body of our text can include what iSolved calls placeholders, but are also known as handles. And it says that email text can contain the following placeholders. So you can have a handle for employee name or employee number included in your email. And what that is doing is that's simply looking at the email address that it's sending to, and then it's saying, oh, I'm going to insert the employee's name based on whatever email address it's sending to. So I like to just copy and paste. You can say, "Hello, employee. You're invited to the company bowling party." And then just HR. All right. So right now, the way that we have this mass email is it's going to send to every employee that you have an email address for in your system. But let's alter our scenario just a little bit. Let's say that we have we have a really big company and that we're going to have two bowling parties, one for our east location and one for our west location. Well, we would need to do something in order for the system to know that we want to send one email to the east group and one to the west group. So what we would do is we would create an eligibility rule. You can see here I already have one set up, but we're going to go and take a look at how to build eligibility rules, and then we're going to apply it to our mass email. So before we do that, I'm just going to save this. All right. All right. So eligibility rules, and they're under Client Management Benefits Eligibility Rules. So let's navigate. Client Management Benefit, where'd it go? Benefits Eligibility Rules. Perfect. So an eligibility rule, again, it sets the criteria to define a group of employees. So you can see I have all of these eligibility rules built. And I'm actually going to delete this. Oh, I can't because I have it. Yeah, I'm going to delete it. Perfect. And we're going to recreate it. All right. So we just have to come up with a name for our group of employees that we are going to have this eligibility rule defined. So let's just call this, I was putting Lena Heating and Air Conditioning East Group. And in the description, you can put something to remind you that it's East Group employees only. Now down here, this types actually shows you which pages that you'll have access, that you'll have this eligibility rule open for. So if we want, for example, to be able to use the eligibility rule for mass email, we would have to click the mass email box. There is no harm in opening the eligibility rule to all the screens. If you know that it's something that only applies to mass email and employee messages, you could open it to just two. Absences is paid time off requests. Workflow is any kind of automatic action that you have set up that you might need to link an email to. You could certainly open it up to that screen. For now, we're just going to have it open to these two sections, mass email and employee messages. Once we create, we will hit save on the blue action bar. And right now we just have the face of an eligibility rule. So we have their name and we have what screens that it is open on, but we don't have any criteria that's going to narrow down our group of employees. So we have to add some criteria. So let's go ahead and do that together. So again, our purpose is we're going to say that only employees in the East location will be included in this eligibility rule. So let's add a new criteria. And we're looking for locations. So under this field category dropdown, we have tables that pull up of all the different data. So the employee organization and labor table is going to include location code. But we can take a look at some of the other data that the tables, data that's in the tables. So this employee data table includes things like birth date, things like city, hire date, gender, information that we don't really define. Employee organization and labor, we define departments and locations. So they're a little bit different. And locations are something we have to set up in iSolved. So there's just a little bit of a difference there I'd like to highlight. And then as far as operator goes, we have only two. we have in or not in. So you can think of that as included in or not included in. So we're going to say we want employees who are included in the location of Lena Heating and Cooling Company East. And I just use the arrow to move it back and forth. So if I move it over here, it's not included in this criteria. And if I move it here, that's the value that we're going to use. So we'll hit save. Now our eligibility rule has one criteria set up for letting us know how it's going to narrow down our group of employees. I'm going to add another one. I'm going to say that I don't really want terminated employees invited to my annual company bowling party. So, which you might want terminated employees. But for this purpose, I'm going to say, no, I want to narrow it down just a bit further. So I'm going to go to my employee data table. And I know I'm looking for status. And then we're going to say included in active. So employees whose status is active, we'll save that. So now we have an eligibility rule set up with two criterias. The first criteria is that they have to be working in the East location. And then the second criteria is that their status must be active. Now that I have my eligibility rule, I can apply it to either the mass email or the employee message section. So let's go back to our mass email utility. All right, we can see that our East group eligibility rule has popped up here. I do have to just recreate this. You're invited. And again, and we'll just take our eligibility rule here that we created, and we'll move it over. We can also, I didn't talk about this, but we can attach a document. So if you had a nice PDF of an invitation, maybe with the details of the location, the date and time, you can add that right there. Now we're almost ready to send, but maybe we should do one more thing, and let's check and see which employees are actually going to be sent this email. So there's a really nice way to do that. You can check eligible employees. It says the following employees will receive this email based on the selected included eligibility rules. So when we hit report, which is a PDF, or export, which generates a CSV, it's going to give us a list of all the employees that will be included when we send this mass email. So it generated this PDF for me. And there's more than that on this report. It tells you who it's from. It shows you what attachment you're sending. It actually shows you the text in the body of the email. And then it shows you the employees that are included and the eligibility rule that has set the criteria for who's included. So we'll just hit the send email. Are you sure you wish to send? Yep, email sent. Up here in the history tab, we can see that we have sent the date and timestamp of when we sent the email, which is right there. All right, so that is one way that we can communicate with our employees. Another way is we're going to take a look at employee messages. So, employee messages. And as you can see, when you search for something, different sections pop up. So we have this one that's called Client Management, HR Management, Employee Messages. We have another one that's called Employee Self-Service, Employee Messages. Well, when we are doing setup, when we are composing emails or composing messages, we always want to go to the Client Management side and not the employee side, because this is where we actually do the setup, and then this is where we can see what messages or mass email that the employee is going to see. So we're going to go to Client Management, HR Management, Employee Messages, Client Management, HR Management, right here, Employee Messages. And a whole tool opens up that has quite a bit of enhancement. So let's talk about why employee messages are different than mass emails. An employee message is going to actually show in the employee messages section of the employee self-service portal. So when your employee logs in to see their W-2 or pay stub, they have a welcome page, and there will be a little alert on there that says new employee message, and they'll go to the employee messages section and they'll be able to see the new employee message. Sometimes we can even add that it's required that they view, they sign off that they have viewed a document in the employee message, and that will even set up a little link on the employee welcome page in the ESS portal. So it's really cool. It's kind of a neat way to kind of keep your employees engaged. So we're going to just walk through what it's like to set up an employee message and then the different things that you can include in the message. So as you can see, I already have one set up for onboarding. Let's hit add new, and let's take a look at what is required in order to set the message up. So anything with an asterisk next to it is required. So we have a message title, we have an effective date, we have a message category that's required. And then over here, if we choose to click the add link checkbox, the text and URL are required. And then the same if we choose to add a document, the file attachment is required. So this message category is the only thing that you may have to set up. I already have one called employee messages, but let's take a look and see where we would set up a message category just in case we don't have a message category that would apply. So let's go to cancel. And right here above it, message category. So this is really just to be able to organize your messages in iSolved. You can add a new category and you can call it pretty much whatever you want. So I'll just call this annual company parties. And because we already have 1 and 2, I'm going to give it a display order of 3. Now we have a message category that we can essentially fill with messages. So if we go back to employee messages, add new, we will see that message category pop up under the setup for the message. So let's see. Now, let's say that we sent a mass email to all the employees for the East group, but now we want to send a message to the employees of the Lena Heating and Air Conditioning West group. So we're going to call this Message Company Bowling Party, call it West Group. And our message text is whatever is going to show up on that employee self-service messages page. Hello, you're invited to our company bowling party for West Group employees. We're going to say yes, we want the effective date to be today. You can choose to put an expiration date on there if you want to. And then our display order is what, if we have many messages we're sending out, which message should we want to be on top? That would be 1. If we have 5 set up, you could put it as 2, 3, 5. And then you actually get to choose here. Do you want to show this message on the employee messages page? Yes, we do. Do we want to show it on the company information page? the company information page is a different page than the employee messages page in the employee self-service portal. Information about your company generally shows up there. I have clients who like to split what messages show up on the employee message page and the company information page. So some customers like to use the employee message screen for current events and topics, but they also like to use the company information screen for company policies, like the company handbook or any kind of change to a policy that you may have. So I'm going to say that I just want it to show on the employee messages page, but you could have it show up on both. If you have more than one legal company that you have access to, you can choose here which company that this message would be active for. And then you can also, like I said, add a link if you'd like to link to maybe the venue where the bowling party is going to be. And you can also attach a document. So we do have a document. We're going to attach our invitation for the West group. You can call it whatever you would like. You're invited to bowling. And then display order 1, because we only have one document that we're attaching. Yes, we are going to choose to make this invitation to bowling required for the purposes of this demo. And then once we save the employee message, it will become active. All right. Let's go take a look at our eligibility. So you can see that when you saved it, it opens up all these other tabs. So we actually need to build an eligibility rule for the West group of employees, since we only have this East group defined. So let's go back to our eligibility rules. So client management, benefits, eligibility rules. And we're essentially going to create the exact same rule, but we're going to have it be for West group. So what we can do is copy it. Let's copy this and then just edit it to rename it. We're going to say, yes, we do want it to be open for mass email and for employee messages. We're going to save, go to the Filters tab, and right now we have an eligibility rule called Lena Heating and Cooling West Group, but we have the criteria saying only employees in the East location are included in this group. Well, that's not correct. We're going to have to edit our criteria just a little bit to get it accurate. So we're going to move this East criteria over. We're going to say, yes, we want our location to be, our location code to be in the West group. And I'm going to leave status alone because I only want active employees invited to this party. Now when we go back to client management, HR management, employee messages, we should see that another eligibility rule is open for us to use in the eligibility rules section. And we simply have to move it over to save. And then we can run a report to show us who is going to receive this message. And it should just be employees in the West group. So let's take a look. It does sometimes take just a minute to load, as I'm sure some of you have noticed. While we're waiting, we can take a look at the links section. Oh, look, it is done. Okay. So, and following is a list of employees that will be included. After each employee's name is a list of eligibility rules that apply to that employee. So we have the employees that are in the West group, and it says, here's the eligibility rule that defined this group of employees. It's perfect. Now we can take a look at links. And essentially this links and documents tab are if you forgot to include a link or a document when you were creating the initial message, you can add the link here. The same thing for documents. You can add a new document if you wanted to have more than one. And then right down here, this View Acknowledgement Report is where you could go to see a list of employees who have already acknowledged that they have read the invitation. So that's really useful. None of my test employees have acknowledged it, but that is where you would do it. And if you wanted a CSV, you would generate the CSV right there. This Email Alerts tab, this is where you can set up email messages or email alerts for to be sent to the employees who have not acknowledged that they have signed off on the document that's required. So this brings us into the final tutorial that I have for the day, and that is email templates. So in order to use this piece, we actually have to set up an email template. So let's go ahead and take a look at email templates. And they're in Client Management, Workflow Setup, Email Templates. And email templates are a very important part of iSolved. They are, you set up an email template anytime that you want to link an email to an automated action. If you want an email that you want to send over and over again, if let's say we want to have this bowling party next year, if we save this annual bowling party invitation, we have an email template for it forever. So I have, as you can see, I have a ton of email templates already. So we're going to add a new one. And we're going to define it. We're going to say that this is a reminder for employees to check their employee self-service portal so that they sign off on the company bowling party invitation. So we're just going to call this company bowling reminder. And you can call it from whoever you would like, but it will be followed by a no reply at flexchecks.com. So this does get sent from a no reply email address. So sometimes your employees might have to look in their spam folder, but usually employees do get it. So I'm just going to put HR. So that would be HR no reply at flexchecks.com. Here is where we define what screens that the email template is open to use on. Just like the checkboxes in the employee message section, we have a drop-down box. This is pretty much the most important part of setting up an email template. We want it to be available in the employee messages section. So when I selected that, the email placeholders down here showed up. So each one of these sections has different handles or dynamic pieces of information that are available for it. So we are going to use employee name because it gives you the employee's whole name. Actually, we're going to use employee first name. Copy it. We're going to say, hey, employee, don't forget to sign off on the required employee invitation. Down here in this mobile push notifications, if your employee has mobile push notifications enabled for the iSolved Go mobile app, then you could put a message down here to that employee, and that as soon as you sent out the alert, they would get the mobile push notification. So I'm going to hit save. Now we have two things that happened. The email template is now available, or it's now in this list of email templates, and it's now available in the employee messages section. So let's go back to our message and let's set up our email alert. So it does give you a list of criteria for when the email alert will be sent. essentially what it's saying is that their status must be active. It must be selected to be shown on the employee messages or company information screen. They must be eligible for this message based on their eligibility rule that we have set up. They have not yet acknowledged all the required documents, and they have accepted electronic signature consent. So the very first time that they sign into employee self-service, they have a pop-up that says, do you accept electronic signature consent? Yes. So those are all the conditions that must be met for them to get this email alert. It seems like a lot, but it's actually most everybody meets those if you set the message up correctly. So we'll say edit. We're going to choose our company bowling reminder. And we're going to say we want this message, we're going to say we want it to go out every 2 days. Starting with, it won't let you set it up for today, so you have to choose in the future, so we'll set it up tomorrow. As soon as I click save, we are all set. So now if I go to my employee management, employee summary, choose an employee, and now I can see what message is on there by going to employee self-service, employee messages, and oops, company information. Oh, he's not in my eligibility rule. I have to pick the right employee. So somebody who's in my West group will have this. There it is. Company Bowling Party West group. Perfect. All right. If anybody has questions, I am available to answer them now. I hope that you feel like this was informative. I thought I saw one coming in, but nope. Okay, well, if you do have questions, feel free to email me after this webinar. And I thank you so much for attending today to learn a little bit more about how to use employee messages, mass emails, and email templates in the iSolved system. Have a great day.